The Dallas Stars reach 50 wins for the fifth time in franchise history and are one step closer to closing out the Central Division. Let's jump into it next on Locked On Stars.
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan and play-by-play voice of the Chippewa Steel. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. The Dallas Stars hang on to take down the Buffalo Sabres by a final score of 3-2, and they pick up their 50th win of the season, the fifth time in franchise history that they have done that. The beat goes on for the Dallas Stars as they're so close to clinching the Central Division. We'll touch on some of those scenarios. Also, the health updates of Jani Hakanpaa and Evgenii Dadanov. Plenty to get into on this Wednesday episode of Locked On Stars. Thank you so much for joining. Once again, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. And as well, be sure to leave a comment. You can follow me on Twitter, JoeyTheJet19, and Locked On Stars as well. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. So Dallas plays another very tight and needy game against the Buffalo Sabres. Maybe those aren't the right adjectives. I should say they at least dominated it in the second period for a large stretch. They got the lead and they kind of shut it down from there. It wasn't very tidy in the first period, all things told. It was a bit helter-skelter in the first 20. It was a little bit erratic for my taste, and not really a style of game that Dallas could really control. They really fought the puck. They fed Buffalo some offense, and they get rewarded right off the hop with an Alex Tuck goal. A lot of deflections in this one, a lot of redirections. It was a tough night. And Oettinger, of course, lets up the softie to Rasmus Dahlin late in that first period, which really hurt. But he was really sharp in the game after that. Of course, you hate seeing the softie, but he ends up making 19 saves on the night. He wins his 8th straight start. He continues to put together really, really solid outings. And yeah, he gave up the stinker, but he didn't allow Buffalo to get more. And they had some really, really nice looks off the flanks against Oettinger. And he had to come up big, especially late when they had a 6-on-5 there for a bit. And Dallas continues to just find a way to close out games. They did it against Colorado a few nights ago. They do it against Buffalo, and they had to do it without Miro Heiskanen, which was a very curious 10-minute misconduct for Miro. He had enough of the stripes last night. He takes the cross-checking penalty, and it looked like he threw his stick or glove when he got into the box, and then they tossed him. So he hit the showers early. But maybe it was a good thing. You get to try your hand out with some different deployments late in hockey games to get the job done, which they won't struggle with Chris Tanev and Esa Lindell. The Stars blocked a lot of shots. They shut down Tage Thompson, who was really rolling coming into the game. He was had 10 goals in his last 11 games. They shut down a power play. The Sabres go 0 for 3 on the night. And really after that first period, I thought the Stars just took control of the game. And that Wyatt Johnston line is just relentless, just constantly. We talk about him every single episode, but him and Stankov and just the relentless forechecking pressure leads to second opportunities. And of course, it leads to goals. So now he has 32 on the season. Harley gets his 30th assist. He picks up another one on Pavelski's goal in the second period, a patented deflection, and Harley is on his way to getting 50 points this season. If it was one thing I predicted correctly this year, was Thomas Harley can reach the 50-point mark. I knew he was talented, and I thought that was something that was attainable for him because his play is just elite. He's taken it to a whole new level. I don't think a level even I could imagine, even with that prediction. And he's just been a solidified, really a number one defenseman, and really a lot of other teams. I think you could certainly make the case, but Dallas just started to control the puck a lot better. 60% was their Corsi for percentage at 5-on-5 in that second period. They just really went after him and kind of pulled up their bootstraps a bit. And another excellent contest, 50 wins on the year, 109 points, 1 win away from clinching the Central Division, which would be the first time since 2015-2016. Which would be a sight for sore eyes, of course, and a chance to at least have home ice advantage for the next few rounds. But it also looks like you have a chance to win the West. 10-1 in their last 11 games, 15-3 over their last 18 games, and it's just by committee. They have 4 lines that just get up and go, and I'm going to hit this constantly as the next few weeks move on. The Stars are ready. They are built and geared up to make a very, very deep playoff run. They have all the makings of a champion. They really do. They have 4 solid lines that can all contribute. Their defense has been a lot better post All-Star break. You look at the numbers in first period goal differential from pre-All-Star break to post, it's staggering. The goal differential pre-All-Star break in the first period alone, because they got off to a ton of slow starts. That hasn't been the case anymore. -3 before All-Star break. Post +17 is the goal differential. The shots on goal differential before the All-Star break in the first period, -9. Now +85. +85. So they're obviously out shooting teams, which is something they've done for a few seasons now. They've constantly outshot teams and limit opposing teams in that category as well, in the shot department. I mean, you give up 21 shots, you block 20. Like that's great stuff. That's being responsible. That's being in the right position. That's good sticks. That's team defending. That's being connected in the defensive zone. And that's just frankly working hard. It's frankly working hard and having effort. And night in and night out, the Stars play with consistent effort since the end of February. Consistent effort. It was really shoddy and inconsistent for the first 4 months of the year, and then they've just gone on a run. It's phenomenal. It really is phenomenal what they have done here in the past month or so, and just 3 games remain, and they've reached 50 wins. They've already surpassed their point total from last year, and it's everybody's contributing. Chris Tanev is just a home run. I mean, he's a home run. He's probably going to be the Stars' best defenseman come playoff time, at least defensively. Every single night, he looks the part. He fits like a glove. Him and Essa are spectacular together, and you mix in Harley and Heiskanen, it's a really tough top 4. And then you have Suter and Lundqvist, or whatever the variety is going to be there if Hakanpaa returns. But it really is something to be mesmerized by. It's just night in and night out. I feel like you know what you're going to get in the Dallas Stars now. And that's a real confidence booster. I feel like I know what I'm going to get with Jake Oettinger. And now I know what you're going to get with the Dallas Stars. And I don't know if you could have said that in a long time. And the playoffs, of course, are a completely different animal. completely different animal. And that could always vary. But I mean, from game to game, from opponent to opponent, they're dominating for large stretches, and even in their losses. You look at the Chicago game when you just completely go to town on the Blackhawks, and you end up on the losing side there. But it's just the consistent effort and consistency of their play up front, as team defending in their own zone, and the net minding has certainly turned a page here. So it's just you got to be riding on a high, just watching the Stars night in and night out, where I don't get as caught up, I feel like, in the ebbs and flows of the game, just because it feels like they have a handle on it more often than not. And that was not the case in the first 10 minutes or the first 20 in general. They were a bit discombobulated. They were feeding the Sabres attack, and Oettinger had to be really good. I think he could have gave up a few more with some of the looks the Sabres got, but they cashed in, and then they shut it down from there. He gives up a softie, he shuts it down. And that's what Otter did so well in that season a year ago, or the last few years. Teams get two, but they don't get more than that. They get two, they don't get more than that. And that has to be a huge boost to the offense. Like, guys, we put up three, like, it's lights out. It's lights out. And they played much better in front of them, which has helped. And they haven't struggled to close out games here in the last month or so either, which is a great sign. Their PK has been excellent. Their power play's been firing on all cylinders. They go 0 for here last night, but they're top 5 in the National Hockey League. That has certainly increased here over the last few weeks. And these are the results you get. You take down a Buffalo team that played really well. They played really well, but the Stars are a better team. It was a better team, and they showed it last night. So it's great stuff from the Dallas Stars. I'm not breaking news, and I'm not sounding alarms on anything. Just a consistent, solid win. They take down the Sabres 3-2, 50 wins for the 5th time in franchise history. And Miro got thrown out. Like, come on. Miro getting thrown out. Is that the first time? Got to be the first time in his career. Good for him. He needs a rest anyways. He can rest up for Winnipeg here tomorrow night. Speaking of that, let's talk about some of the clinching scenarios. It's pretty simple now. All they got to do is win, and the Stars can clinch the Central Division. Let's get into it in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Indeed. When you're drafting their fantasy team, do you ever wish you could handpick the best stars for your business team? If you're building your talent roster, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Find top talent fast. You have Indeed Suite's powerful hiring tools like matching assessments, virtual interviews, and you don't have to wait. U.S. data shows that Indeed has over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job. Indeed knows when you're trying to grow your business, you need to make every dollar count. That's why you need Indeed. You only pay for quality applicants that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon, Indeed.com/lockedon, LOCKEDON. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application. Pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. So the Stars need one more victory, and it could come as soon as tomorrow night against the Winnipeg Jets at home to clinch the Central Division. With the win last night over Buffalo, the Stars now have a 7-point cushion. As I'm recording this, the Avalanche are up 3-2 on the Minnesota Wild in the second period. If Avalanche hold on, they will move that cushion back to about 5. Either way, excellent stuff here in the last 3 games, and Dallas should have no issues closing out the rest of the year. The Stars have a pretty decent schedule moving forward too. They got Seattle in St. Louis here to end the season, so not much to worry about there. They are on a collision course with Vegas right now. Vegas could very well be their first round matchup. Nashville clinched last night with a point in the loss over Winnipeg, and Nashville's not going to jump up in the top 3. There's just no way. So Winnipeg and Colorado will play for sure. And Nashville could end up being the first round opponent for Dallas. They very well could be. Vegas still has 2 games in hand, and they trail Nashville by 3 points. But it feels like they're on a crash course for some revenge. And maybe that's a good thing. I don't love it. I'll say that, because Vegas is going to be fully healthy and they're going to be ready to go. That's going to be a really tough first round matchup. It's going to be harder than playing Winnipeg in my eyes. It's going to be harder than LA. It's going to be harder than Nashville. But maybe that's just the road intended for these Dallas Stars. And maybe it would make it that much sweeter if they can send home the team that sent them home in the Western Conference Final last season in the first round. But it doesn't feel like much of a prize for winning the Central Division or the West. But the cards fall how they may. And look, there's still 4 or 5 games remaining for some teams, and that could very well change here in the next week, in the next 7 days. Some teams could flip-flop, and the Stars' opponent could not be Vegas. But I'll say I don't love it, but I'll also say I just feel like Dallas is so good. I really do. And of course, anything can happen in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I think Dallas is a better team than everybody in the West. And that may be recency bias, just because they've beat the brakes off of most teams here as of late. But it's the way they've done it too. They're deep up front. I think this season they can comfortably match the Vegas Golden Knights' depth, because that's what reared its ugly head last year. Vegas got a ton of production from that fourth line, bottom 6, on top of just having a really, really strong defense, like the deepest defense core at the time, because they were healthy in the Western Conference. And I don't know if they boast that as much this season. And yeah, they're probably going to be fully healthy, and they're using the cap to their advantage. But I think there also is something to be said for they're kind of waltzing or stumbling their way into the postseason. And it can be hard to flip the switch. I think they can. I'm not gonna deny that. That was the same thing last year. They really stumbled, and they weren't playing their best hockey heading into the playoffs, and they kind of just flipped the switch. So I'm not going to put it past them by any means, but I feel a lot better about the Stars this season than I did last. You have Matt Duchene. You have Chris Tanev. You have Wyatt Johnston, that is a true elite center iceman and is going to be a big factor. Robertson still leads the team in points. You got the veteran presence of Pavelski, Suter, Ben. I don't feel like Jamie Benn and Joe Pavelski and Ryan Suter will let what happened last year happen again. I don't think they'll allow it. I just feel like they're on such a mission to drag this team through the postseason. And it may not end with a Stanley Cup. It's really hard to do that. You need some fortunate bounces. You need some things to go your way. You need to stay relatively healthy. You need to get great goaltending. But I find it hard to believe they're just going to be ousted in the first round. And look, slap me upside the head here in the next 3 weeks, in the next month, if that happens, and I'll have to eat crow on that. But I'm really confident. I really am. And the Stars are just they look like a juggernaut right now. 50-29, 109 points through 79 games this season. It's been an incredible year. The beat goes on for the Stars, but a chance to clinch, and that's what I was really getting at. They have an opportunity to clinch here tomorrow night against Winnipeg at home. That should be a fun one for sure. Okay, let's talk about Jani Hakanpaa, Evgenii Dadanov. More positive news coming out of the Stars front office, or Stars coaching staff, I should say. Not really front office, but practice in general about their forward and defensemen who are very, very close and nearing a return. We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Game Time. Stars fans, I'm sure you've been in my shoes before, where I go to a new ballpark or new arena that I have never visited. I'm super stoked to get tickets. I go in, next thing you know, I sit down, there's a railing, there's a piece of glass, there's a wall, there's a pole in your view. I wouldn't have bought those tickets if I had known that. And that's why Game Time is so spectacular. Go ahead, get out your smartphone, download the Game Time app. It takes 30 seconds. Go to the App Store, go to the Play Store on your smartphone. Download the Game Time app. It is now the authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. And it's not just Major League Baseball. You want to go to the Stars game tomorrow night. Go ahead, go to Game Time, use code LOCKEDONNHL, and you could get $20 off your first purchase. Game Time takes all the pressure and all the guesswork out of buying tickets. So download the Game Time app, create that account, use code LOCKEDONNHL, as I just mentioned, and you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL, Locked On NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Hey, Stars fans, be sure to check out Locked On Sports today as well. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel. It's programmed for you, bringing you the biggest stories of the day. It's available on YouTube. It's also available on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It is some fantastic stuff that they are putting on over there. Be sure to hit the subscribe button here on Locked On Stars. Hit that notification bell. Never miss an episode. Appreciate all you everydayers out there. The last few weeks have been phenomenal, and it's all because of you guys. Seriously, it has been freaking awesome. The support and the engagement of all of you Locked On Stars listeners. So, show would not be what it is without you guys. Please know that. I just sit on a mic and I spew for 30 minutes and I give my opinions. Some of you agree with them, some of you don't, and that's the beauty of it. And we're having a ball doing it, okay? And the Stars are rolling, and they may be getting a few bodies back, which is always a good thing coming out of morning skate here yesterday. It looks like Jani Hakanpaa and Evgenii Dadanov are very, very close to a return, and they could even join practice tomorrow with the team. They have been progressing and skating on their own. They could rejoin practice with the team here today. So we'll see what kind of comes out of practice this morning or this afternoon, whenever it may be. And that could be a very, very good sign moving forward. I've kind of given my thought process on Dadanov about a week ago, but I'll restate it for some of you that may have not caught it. I think Evgenii Dadanov is a perfect depth forward that you put upstairs in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Sits in the press box. You're going to have injuries. Somebody's going to be banged up. Let's say you have a 3-1 lead in a series. Maybe you're up 2-0. And you could afford to sit somebody. I know that's the wrong mindset, but let's just indulge me here on this one. You can bring them in. You know what you're going to get. And I don't think you want to break up that fourth line, because that's where he's going to go. You're not going to move Stankoven around. You're not going to move Duchesne. You're not going to move the top line. Like, you're not going to move any of those top lines around. And do you really want to mess with the fourth line? Like, Steele, Fox, and Smith have been really, really stinking good. And I don't know if you want to mess with that. And does Dadanov really add a bigger punch offensively than Sam Steele? I don't know about that. Craig Smith, I don't know about that. It hasn't really been a fruitful year in terms of offensive production for Dadanov, but he's a really good fourth liner if you need him. So I'm more than comfortable with just having him, in the stands, so to speak. He's up in the box watching until they need him, because they probably are going to need him. Like, that's the nature of a long playoff run. On the other hand, I mentioned this multiple times, Jani Hakanpaa is jumping right back in the lineup when he's good to go. I don't know if they're going to play him in the last 2 or last 3. I don't really see the need for it, especially if he's banged up. Maybe you want to get him in on the last game just to play a few minutes and get up to game speed, just because it's going to be a huge jump from not playing for a month to Stanley Cup playoff hockey. But is Jani Hakanpaa's game not going to translate to the Stanley Cup playoffs? He is what he is. And I guess you do need to get comfortable with game speed, but look, he's not a very mobile guy. Like, he's physical, he's big, he takes up space, and I think that really plays into his hand in the Stanley Cup playoffs, where it's a little bit tighter, not as much time and space. I think he would be fine if you had to throw him in there. I don't see them keeping Niels Lundqvist, even if I think it's the right move to have him with Suter, based off what we saw against Colorado. Didn't play the entire third period after he gave up that late goal. It wasn't really him who gave it up. I think Otter's rebound control could have been a bit better on that one. And he was trying to box out Duheim, and it didn't work. And Duheim swatted it home. And it was like, all right, young boy, that's it for you, which was unfortunate, because I thought he played a really solid game up to that point. And I think it's important for him to get those experiences against the Colorados of the world. You want him to be ready for that moment. I think it's important that he gets crucial minutes. And it doesn't always have to be under 3 to go and you're holding on to a 1-goal lead, but 8 minutes to go, you're up by 2. Like, I think that, like, figure out what you have in him at least. And maybe you already know. And I've talked about this ad nauseum this season too, when he was being healthy scratched. I don't know if he's a top 4 defenseman. He's a fringe top 4, in my opinion. I think he's a really solid, really great 5th defenseman if he reaches what I think can be like his full potential. And maybe he's not even that. Maybe he's just a 6th. Maybe he's a Joel Hanley. And that's okay. That's okay. And that's really frustrating. It's really frustrating because Jim Nill gave up a first-round pick for him. And I get that. I totally get that. But that's okay. That's okay. Teams win with Joel Hanley's. Teams can win with Joel Hanley. The Stars did. I mean, not that he was a big part of it, but of a lot of the winning. But he's a solid defenseman. And you need guys like that. You need guys like that. And I don't think he's a Joel Hanley. I think he's better, and I think he can be an everyday player in the lineup. And you have to take into account the Stars have, they have some great bodies on the back. Like, Suter's played really, really good this year. For all the flack that he gets, he's played really good this year. I'm sorry. He's been very consistent when he's paired with the right partner. His mistakes and his weaknesses at this point in his career do not get exposed as much. And frankly, hasn't really looked like he's had a ton of weaknesses recently. He's been really good. His gap control's been great. He uses his stick well. He's physical. He's got a little nastiness, which the Stars need, and it will definitely show in the playoffs. And sign me up for this Ryan Suter every day of the week. Sign me up. On the third pair? Come on. Get out of here. That's what I want. And Tanev and Lindell are going to do their thing. So there you go. Anyway, some good news with Dadanov and Jani Hakanpaa that could join practice here today. So we'll see what else we hear out of Frisco. But awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. What a great full episode. Feel like we hit on everything. Feel like I touched on what I wanted to touch on. Stars 50 wins. Once again, 5th time in franchise history the Dallas Stars have hit the 50 win mark. How about that? How about that? Well, that'll do it for today's episode of Locked On Stars. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, JoeTheJet19. Follow Locked On Stars on Twitter as well. We'll break down, preview the Jets here a bit tomorrow. Stars have a chance to clinch the Central Division. I do have a game that I'm covering. It's our regular season finale for the Chippewa Steel regular season finale. And they have to win in order to get in the playoffs, and they need another team to lose a couple of times, but could be the final game of the year here on Thursday. So nothing live going on or any updating or tweeting, which sometimes I do. I'm sure none of you even care that I do it, but I like to spew stuff during the games. Anyways, I digress. Thursday's going to be a busy time is all I'm saying. You have a great rest of your day. The week's been phenomenal. It's Masters week, by the way. I mean, it could not get any better. Enjoy, and see you tomorrow. So long, Stars fans.